This is the Fifth Estate Winning Headlines, your media police post, brought to you by the Fort Hall School of Government, coming to you from Nairobi, Kenya. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you may have missed this morning, but we also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 27th of July 2021, and I am 2J.
I am JM.
And I am Miss K. Again, in case you missed today's headlines, here they are. Daily Nation, RAILA and Kalonzo finally part ways. The Standard, fees warning as teachers' fears revealed. The Star, political bigwigs headache over 50% plus one vote. Well, earlier today, Raila Odinga was the chief guest at the Skiza Thanksgiving ceremony. I think it was for artists. He was hosted by SK Macharia at the home of Mwangi Wairia, Murang'a County, and I think that went well. Perhaps it's a coronation ceremony for him, of sorts, within the Gema community.
It's a good sign, nonetheless.
I think it's a really good sign, and I think it's very clever to call in artists. I mean, they are the sound to which we listen to elections. So maybe we will hear some Raila-inspired tunes in the coming days.
I can't wait for, is it Ben Gidai who did the 200 State House song for Uhuru Ruto?
Yes.
So all of that will be erased, scratched.
Start afresh.
Something along the lines of Raila and somebody else.
We do need a new sound tone for the 2022 election. And I'd like to speak a little bit about that, inspired by today's Star headline. And it made me think of something we have said here in the past. It is a fact, at least for me, and it is worth repeating, that there will be a runoff in the 2022 election. No candidate will secure the 50% plus one of the popular vote that is needed to be declared president in the first round of the election. The Constitution gives a two-part criteria for the declaration of the president-elect. According to Article 138(4), a candidate shall be elected as president if the candidate receives 1. More than half of all the votes cast in the election, or 50% plus 1, and 2. At least 25% of the votes cast in 24 counties. Now, a serious presidential candidate will not struggle to meet the second part of the criteria. For instance, William Ruto will easily get 25% of the vote in the 9 counties of the North Rift, where the Kalenjin community is dominant, and Raila Odinga in the 8 Nyanza counties, and the remainder can be scrapped together from cosmopolitan counties. That leaves the issue of getting to 50% plus 1 of the popular vote. Now, some of you think that because of a Pyrrhic victory in Kiambaa, William Ruto is a sure bet for 2022. But a lot can change in a year. Any politician who has enjoyed early political goodwill will tell you that the Kenyan public is exceedingly fickle. You think they will vote for you, then on election day they surprise you. Ask Martha Karua or Peter Kenneth. He knows all about counterfeit social media popularity.
That's right.
Now, the 2002 and 2013 elections were won by last-minute alliances with unlikely coalition partners that gained momentum in the final lap of the elections race. 2002 and 2013 were also succession elections, just like 2022. And just like 2022, there was widespread speculation on the likely candidates, but the public was in the end blindsided by the actual winner of the presidential race. Now, succession elections in Kenya have been known historically to spring surprises, and 2022 will be no exception.
Yes. Now, I want to flip that scenario. And again, inspired by today's Star headline, I would like to paint a picture of what could be a probable scenario for the 2022 election. And the thrust of my argument here is that a runoff is not necessarily inevitable. And so, as the paper aptly puts it, the main candidate to beat in the 2022 election is not necessarily Raila Odinga, neither is it William Ruto. The candidate to beat is this guy called 50% plus 1, arising from the Constitution in Article 138(4)(a), as Ms. K stated, that the candidate has to receive more than half of all the votes cast. Now, that, ladies and gentlemen, is a tall order. And it's a tall order when you are attempting, as Uhuru Kenyatta is trying to do, to herd all these different ethnic groups together. It's like herding cats, as we like to say. It's a Herculean task, but it's not impossible. So, again, a runoff, not inevitable. And it won't be inevitable if NASA sticks together.
Yeah.
So the most probable scenario that will play out then is as follows. William Ruto under UDA will start off, and this is based on the 2017 election numbers. Registered voters as broken down in ethnic groups. So William Ruto under UDA will start off with 2.5 million votes from his Kalenjin backyard. And going by history, when Gema has been a house divided, it has always split 2/3, 1/3.
Okay.
In the year 1992, it was split this way in favor of Matiba. Similarly, in 2002, it was split 2/3, 1/3 in favor of Kibaki. So let us be generous, therefore, to William Ruto and say that he will even gain 2/3 of Gema.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, that is the equivalent of 3.8 million votes. So as a starting point, William Ruto's total voter base on the 9th of August 2022 will comprise 6.3 million votes.
Yes.
Okay.
Now that is 3.5 million votes shy of the 50% plus one threshold of 9.8 million votes. That's part one. Part two now. This is on the other side. 2022 election. This will be an election whose object of aggression, remember, will be William Ruto. So in the context of that, Baba Man will manage to whip NASA into submission. How will he do that? J.J. Rousseau once said that fear and hope are the greatest instruments in the governance of men. So RAILA will use fear to mobilize. He will convince the NASA principals that their interests are safer under him as opposed to the bottoms-up candidate who has a proclivity to meza kila kitu, as Musalia Mudavadi told us this past weekend. So RAILA, together with Uhuru, will force a pre-election coalition agreement. And here is how the numbers look like. RAILA will bring in 2.3 million votes. Kalonzo will bring in 2 million votes. Uhuru will bring in 1/3 of Gema, which is equivalent to about 1.9 million votes. Mudavadi, together with Wetangula, 2.5 million votes. In sum, the anti-Meza Kila Kitu coalition will bring to the table and will begin with a grand total of 8.7 million votes. Yeah, 9th of August, starting point, they've got 8.7 million in the bag. And just like that, they will be 1.1 million votes only shy of the 50% plus one threshold. And with such a small gap to 50% plus one, all they will need to do is to top up with a little bit from Coast, Somalis, Kisii, and the rest. Yeah. So for every one vote that NASA will look for on the 9th of August, the bottoms-up coalition will have to look for 4 votes to meet and to beat the 50% plus one candidate. And that is how Ruto will not become president. And remember here, the logic is, as Professor Mutahi Nkunyi has always said in conclusion, you do not become president, you are made president.
Some persuasive numbers you have there.
Right. So I think what I want to cover is a little combination of what you guys have ended with. Ms. K said that a lot can happen in 1 year.
Yes.
And JM has also said that he will not be made president. So yes,
he will not become president.
he will not become president.
He has to be made.
He has to be made. He will not become president. And so yesterday we began the conversation around the revelations from the Paul Gishero case at the ICC. My question yesterday was, what exactly does Paul Gishero know? And I ask this because it is curious for an international court to pursue so diligently a low-level lawyer that isn't known beyond Eldoret. So who was Gishero acting for when he allegedly intimidated and paid off witnesses? According to the ICC, the beneficiary of Gishero's actions was William Ruto. In fact, this was the main reason that the Ruto-Sang case was stopped because, and I quote, there had been witness interference and political meddling, which the accused had profited from, even though there was no evidence of his personal involvement in it. So is the objective of the court to connect the actions of Gishero directly to William Ruto? If the end game is to reopen the Ruto case, how could this play out? And so here at the Fort Hall School of Government, we are led by trends and we are led by history. And a similar case came to mind, and that is of Jean-Pierre Bemba. He was a former vice president, businessman, and militia leader of the DRC, who was charged by the ICC with 2 counts of crimes against humanity and 3 counts of war crimes. So Bemba's case started in 2008, and by 2013, 5 years later, his case was still ongoing. But during that time, Bemba's lawyer was arrested by the ICC on charges of witness tampering and bribery. And the ICC said that Bemba was responsible as well. So on the charges of crimes against humanity, Bemba got 18 years. But the ICC added an additional year in prison for the witness tampering that was connected to his lawyer.
My goodness.
Does this sound similar?
Oh, yes, it does.
Very familiar.
So it's possible that the precedent of the Bemba case could be the downfall of William Ruto. Bear in mind, the Bemba trial for witness tampering took just under 2 years from start to finish. And with 2022 around the corner, it's likely that Ruto is seeing the presidency as his get out of jail card, for lack of a better term.
Right.
But as Ms. K reminded us yesterday, the African Court of Human Rights has also given African governments the right to push elections by 1 year. 2022 may not even happen. So far, things are looking quite thick for the deputy president. The cracks are beginning to show. And if Gicheru's case follows the same logic as the Bemba case, what is William Ruto likely to do? How will he respond? And most interestingly, this is what I want to know.
I know.
Who is behind this entire scheme?
The
So
gods.
many. The gods.
The gods.
The gods conspire. They, you know.
As Prof. Mutahanguni says, when the gods want to destroy a man, they make him blind.
Ah.
We are very blind
At
to
the
what
beginning is
going on
happening.
right now. We have a 3-part criteria that we use to break down the headlines for you. We ask ourselves 3 questions. Is the headline topical or speculative, repetitive or groundbreaking, and thoughtful or just plain lazy? So Raila and Kalonzo finally part ways. I think if they're clever and they listen to JM, they would not. So we should toss that headline.
Yeah.
The Standard, fees warning as teachers' fears revealed. Sad, but really there's nothing we can do about it. In political bigwigs, headache over 50% plus 1 vote.
I want to argue that the Star should be the winning headline, and I have a reason.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have been talking about the crunch, as JM put it, that will be this 50% plus 1 vote. And finally, the fourth estate has woken up to that reality.
And they actually tried. They actually tried to break down those numbers in that
They do,
article.
and they do a pretty good job at painting scenarios. So, you know,
I know,
agree,
so well done to them for
yeah, I
listening
agree
to
to
us.
Jade. Let's
Okay.
Let's give them the winning
headline. Yeah.
So we have a winning headline from The Star. Onto the political creatures that we call cartoons. And again, we have a 3-part criteria that we use to judge them for you. We ask ourselves, are they humorous or dry, satirical or pessimistic, and effective or just plain lazy? Let's begin with the Daily Nation.
In the Daily Nation from Victor Ndula, we have caricatures of several political bigwigs. Holding a wheelbarrow, we have a caricature of the deputy president, and he is carrying in his wheelbarrow Duale, Kuria, Kangata, Murkomen, Alice Wahome, Oscar Sudi, Muhammad Ali, and Aisha Juma. And they're all in their yellow UDA outfits. And they're heading to some traffic lights. And the caption there says, Exodus to UDA, as they wait for the light to go green. You know what was interesting? As I looked at this, first of all, this wheelbarrow is quite heavy.
Yeah.
But second of all, it actually reminded me of a poll that came out, or that has been coming out year after year,
Yes.
of the MPs who never spoke in Parliament.
Yes.
And a majority of these people in the wheelbarrow are the very same MPs who came on the very bad end of the MPs who never spoke, or the senators or governors or whatnot.
If you're there to
So,
speak for the people
If
and you're saying
if
nothing,
this is the best that UDA has to offer people,
They can keep
honestly,
it.
good riddance.
yes.
well, I'd say
We can
let's put it on the
park
parking
it
bay.
for the moment. Yeah.
Let's see what the Standard has. And here we have a caricature of a bodyguard, name withheld or unknown. And he stopped a groundsman, I think it's a gardener on the State House grounds, who is pushing a wheelbarrow. And him is using it for its actual job, picking up leaves and trash. And this guy is saying, Chief, mdosi amesema hataki kuona wheelbarrow yoyote hapa. I think that's an Mdosi here being the president, and he doesn't want to see even a reminder of any sort of wheelbarrow on the grounds. I think it's funny. It's borderline pessimistic, but it's funny.
But it is funny. Okay.
So
We
put
park it.
We'll park it. Let's
Look
see
at
what
the
the
podcast,
Star
yeah.
has.
Yeah. So the Star is showing us Mawazo ya Wazazi, with the children going back to school this week, and you've got a backdrop there of the rings, the circles of the Olympics, but they've got but they've been corona-fied. And so you've got a parent there running on this Olympic track, carrying a child with a very heavy school bag, and he's looking at the next hurdle, which is a school calendar, a very high one. He's not going to be able to get over that. And then at the back, you've got the other individual stuck at the previous hurdle, which was lockdown while Corona Olympics is ongoing.
Talk about pessimism.
Yeah.
Very pessimistic. But
I mean, we always accuse the fourth estate of either being, lazy, evil, or both. And I think it's quite convenient that while the president is co-chairing a very large global international education summit, not only do we have a negative education headline, but we have the same in the cartoons. So
I'd say we toss them all for that reason.
Toss them.
The Daily Nation did make me laugh, though.
It was funny.
Okay, we toss them all.
And we have no winning cartoon. I'd like to end with a quote, random quotes, seeing as we don't have final thought, but we'll be back with that. And it's on bravery. The bravest are surely those who have the clearest vision of what is before them, glory and danger alike, and yet notwithstanding go to meet it. From Thucydides. And I say that that's our 2022 election scenario. We can see it, glory and danger, and you know what? We're still going to go towards it because we are brave. Today we had a winning headline from the Star, no winning cartoon. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can find us on your TV screens. We're on Pan Free to Air, Go TV, and Star Times. Do have a great evening.